Thank you so much for joining us on Dwelling Show. I'm your host, Ola Dantes. I've got an amazing guest today, Jingwen Dunford. Thank you so much for joining us, Jingwen. I appreciate you for joining.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah. So obviously I read your story. I know a little bit about you. I can obviously read a fancy profile and, but I think you can do a way better job than I can. Can you just tell our listeners a little bit more about who you are, what you've been doing, and kind of what you've been up to lately, actually?
Yeah, absolutely. So I am a full-time real estate investor. I have my own private equity firm that specializes in helping investors achieving true wealth through mobile home park deals. I focus exclusively on mobile home park deals. And I have been closing deals, fighting deals, and actually recently closed on a 30-lot mobile home park here in Georgia, where I live. And I am currently under contract for another smaller park that's 14 lots. In out-of-state investment. And before the end of the year ends, my goal is to close on a $2 million deal with my investors. So that's kind of the gist of what I've been up to. My mission is to help people achieve true wealth, where you can quit your job and not worry about your financial wealth. And the thing is, the reason I am doing this is because I've always had a mission to make the world a better place. If you're trying to, put in the really fancy terms, but I think, in order to achieve your true happiness, you would need to not worry about your financial health, as far as where your next month's rent's coming from, where your mortgage is coming from, where is my next meal coming from. You don't want to worry about that. So through real estate investment, and especially mobile home parks, that's what I'm doing right now, we can do that. I can help my investors achieve that wealth, that they don't have to worry about financials anymore. It's not just any wealth that we're talking about. My goal is to achieve ultra wealth, the big wealth that we're talking about, not only just to take care of your basic needs, but you would want to live the dream life that you want to live. And in that case, after, if you could take care of your financial well-being, that you can have extra money to take care of other things, you can lead a healthy life physically, mentally, and you can have the money to help other people as well. So that's kind of my firm's mission, to help make this world a better place, if you were to put it in a grand term.
Wow. Jingwen, you are an absolute legend. You said a ton of things.
Thank you.
You have been busy. And, I like to interview kind of folks like you. I mean, you're like prolific, you're closing deals, you've got a mission, you obviously know what you want out of life. You mentioned something that really fascinated me, and you're basically breaking down the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. I'm into psychology.
Exactly.
I'm a big
I love that.
Yeah. Even though I never studied psychology, but I read a lot of books, and, it's kind of that existential thinking, like when you've gotten everything down, food security, then you kind of get to self-actualization. So that's really fascinating to hear that. Changing the world.
Absolutely.
I can relate. But I think before we kind of jump in deep, I've got so many questions, so little time, obviously. But you were obviously doing something, maybe you had a job, like a day job. You were doing something before real estate. I'm sure life was pretty good. I mean, can you kind of take us back a little bit historically, your story of, the US?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So so backwards, many years, I came to the United States when I was 16 years old by myself. My parents didn't come with me. So the thought came from, I've always wanted to go to American college. And I thought, if I could go to American high school, that would, one, train my English skills, two, it would get me familiar with the system, and then really incorporate me into the American society. So that's, the 15, 16-year-old myself, came up with that idea. And so there, I went and applied for high school in Pennsylvania, and I got in, and I just took the 13-hour flight and went. And it was funny because I lost 2 suitcases in the air, but it was a mess. Imagine that I was 16 years old. I had 2 huge suitcases, probably taller than me, and I did not have a phone. I didn't have any cash on me. I literally was lost at the airport. I arrived in Philadelphia. It was 9 p.m. after 13, 14 hours of traveling, and I couldn't find anybody picking me up. That was a mess. So that's how I got here. And I was thinking, is this a scam or something? I can't find anybody, picking me up or anything. So finally, my driver came, and I selected a family to live with in Pennsylvania. It's a local family, wonderful, wonderful people. I just visited them today, last month. They're wonderful, wonderful people, but I never met them before. I pretty much just threw myself in the middle of nowhere, suburban Philadelphia, hoping for a better life for myself. And, that's, the kind of the principle that operated my life was to do things that other people don't do. And that's exactly what I did. And, I didn't have any friends that would go to America at the age of 16 and just kind of not knowing a soul in the country and just live there. But I thought that was a cool idea. And I thought I'd probably survive anywhere. I could survive in the desert. I could survive anywhere. So I was like, I was very excited for the opportunity. So I got there, attended high school, graduated, and learned English. I still remember the days when there were so many stickers on the wall, on the bedroom wall, because I was preparing for my SAT test to go into a college here. And I had to learn all the vocabulary that we don't ever need. But I just remember I couldn't understand much and very limited English. And I just made a decision to myself that I need to learn English. I need to adjust everything, the food, the culture, and everything. I immersed myself and kind of determined to cut any chances I have to not speak English, to not practice. And I was very tough on myself per se at the time. So fast forward, I got into college, a pretty good college here in Georgia, as an industrial engineer, because this school, Georgia Tech here in Georgia, is one of the top engineering schools. And it was best program in the nation for years. So I was thinking, this major is related to business. And I've always wanted to become an entrepreneur ever since I was little. I would drive by, my family in China, they would drive by huge apartment buildings. And I was 6 years old. I told my family, I'm going to own one of those one day. My family was like, you're crazy. Why are you saying this? My family was just middle class working, the parents are both engineers, and they would never think about even being a real estate developer, real estate, anything. That was a huge deal. So they drove by. I said, I was 6 years old. I'm going to own one of those buildings. They thought I was nuts. So fast forward, it's real. So I went to college and studied industrial engineer, and then switched majors midway to business because I just really wanted to become an entrepreneur and make a difference, because I believe that entrepreneurship is the way to, one of the best ways, in my opinion, to make a true difference and change people's lives. So I graduated with a business degree from Georgia Tech and started working full-time job as a business analyst at a smart metering firm here in Georgia. So I did that because my husband was still in school at the time, and he also went to Georgia Tech. He actually graduated this past December. So I had to earn the income to support both of us while he was in school. And at the same time, I got involved in bigger pockets. I saw some videos online. I said, I want to be an entrepreneur, and I want to be in real estate ever since I was 6. So here we go. I can really do this. And I had a pretty okay salary for an out-of-school grad, and I used that salary to qualify for my first deal, second deal, and then the third deal, the syndicates, and everything was starting to roll from there. And then this March, I quit my job. That was a really bold jump now I think about it, because I had a pretty good cushion. I had a good salary. I had healthcare and everything. But I had to give all that up because I knew that this is the chance. And I knew that if I don't do it now, I couldn't do this full-time job, corporate life anymore. It's just not for me. And I think that if you have a dream to become an entrepreneur, the difficulties, the struggles definitely will be there, but I encourage everybody who wants to become an entrepreneur, just do it, because your most important asset is time, and you will never get any of that back. And while you have it, while you have the passion, I encourage everybody to do it. And fast forward 7 months later, my business is growing ever faster, bigger, and I'm been the happiest I've ever been.
Wow. I mean, this is just fascinating stuff. I mean, this is so good.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
No, honestly, Jinhwan, like there's so many things in here. You said you made that decision, first when you were 6, right? I kind of tied it back to the beginning. So you were 6, yes. You saw this building, yes. You said, I want to do this, right? Obviously, time
Absolutely.
went by, and then you got to the US. You said, hey, I want to make this decision to learn English. You did that, right? And then you said, hey, I want to do this entrepreneurial thing full time. You made a decision. You quit your job, right? Like, who does that?
Absolutely.
That's like,
you have to take action. Actions is the most important thing. I would say that if you have a great idea and you don't do anything about it, that great idea is nothing. I would rather have a mediocre idea and best action versus a great idea and no action. Because no action, you have no power, you have no energy, there's nothing. Nothing will happen.
Wow, fascinating stuff. So I got to ask you a quick question then.
Yes.
So now that you've quit your job, a lot of people always, obviously, that's the first thing they say, like, I want to quit my job so I can do real estate full time. And, people always wonder, like, so now that you quit your job, are you just like, on the beach, sipping margaritas, chilling? What does that look like? What is the other side? I call it the promised land. What does that look like for you?
Right. The promised land is full of struggles. Here's the thing. Being an entrepreneur is a lot of struggles. It's not quitting your job. It's not a comfort zone. It's not you're just going on cruises every month now, and it's not about that. You maybe do that. You may be able to achieve that after you truly become really wealthy and really, really, but even then, you probably don't want to rest. For me, I don't want to retire. I just want to work. But so it's definitely not la la land. So what I can tell you is that it's just entrepreneurship is just a lot of struggles, but the struggles are worth it if you have a mission to accomplish. So it takes a lot of self-discipline. It takes a true passion. It takes a lot of ambition and motivation to be able to be an entrepreneur. Let me tell you this, it's not for the faint of heart. It absolutely not is not for the faint of heart. Ever since day one, I can't even count how many rejections I've faced. There will be times when I talk to brokers where they just flat out tell me, well, you don't have experience, I won't do this. Or, because first deal is always the hardest, especially the first commercial deal. You'll be talking to brokers, banks, financiers, anybody. They know as soon as they learn that, oh, you've never done this before, this is your first deal, they immediately stop talking to you. And that's understandable. I understand that because everybody's looking for experience. They don't want to deal with someone who they don't know if they could close. But I think the most important thing is to not give up. Always persist through it. Because today might feel so tough. You might feel that there's no tomorrow. I'm going to give up. Tomorrow I'm going to go back to my job. Do not even think that, because if you live through today, you hang out there one more day, you hang out there one more hour, you'll get through this. And you will find the key here is being creative. So how I got through my first commercial deal was that I found very, very creative ways to do deals. Because through this rejection, I see those rejections not as insults. I see them as the market's way of pushing me back. And I see, hey, this is, you're not doing this correctly. You're doing this wrong. You shouldn't be facing this much, difficulty if you're doing it right. So maybe my deal size needs to be smaller. Maybe I need to do seller financing. Maybe I need to put down a larger down payment. So these rejections really is a way to tell me what I need to do better. So just don't be afraid to go out there and try and ask them, make offers every day. I make 10-hour offers every day, no matter what. I constantly make offers. So make offers. If you get rejected, ask why. Think about why and adjust your business strategy and try again. And eventually you will hit it. That's exactly how I hit it. through seller financing, syndication, and, you know, creative deal making. You know, one day you would hit it, and then once you hit that door open, the good things just follow. Of course, there will always be hard things, but the key here is not to give up, because think about it this way. This is how I think about it, is the harder it is, the better it is for you. Why? It's because the people who cannot persist will not make it through. But what that means for you who can make it through is that there will not be much competition, because the people who can persist at the end are all winners. You know, the longer you can hold on there, the tougher it is better news for you. Look at it that way. Always try to look for the bright side, because that's how it is because, you know, if I'm going through this much, other investors are going through it too. And if I can make it, the harder it is, that means that less people can make it. And if I can make it, I'm winning.
You are dropping so many nuggets. Like, it's ridiculous. It's so good. Golden nuggets even. Like, honestly, like, this is my main thing, you know, on Bigger Pockets. Like, people just want to jump into learning, you know, the technical aspect, the real estate strategy. And I think that's great. But the reason there's such a high failure rate is people forget to know thyself, which means they forget to tackle the mindset. So when they get the first rejection or second rejection, they're like, oh, you know, I'm just going to go back and learn Bitcoin or cryptocurrency or Amazon reseller program or whatever. They just, this is too hard. You know, so I think like understanding that piece, knowing that like me, my commitment to myself and to my, everybody on Facebook knows I do real estate. That's it. To the day I die, I do real estate. I'm not, so having that commitment even tells your brain like, hey, no matter what happens, I'm gonna keep going. Many people before me have done this, and after me will do this. I'm as successful at it. So I love that. Yeah, but you have to tell us now seriously, you have to tell us your secret. So you were getting the pushback from the brokers, you were getting the market saying, hey, Jingwen, like maybe, you know, take a chill pill, like maybe do a smaller deal. So can you tell us about your first deal? How did you, you know, crack the market? How did you find the deal? How did you fund the deal? Tell us the whole spiel, numbers and all, if you want to.
Absolutely. So, so the first, I'll just start with commercial deal, because the other smaller deals are, you know, easy on the easier side. I didn't really have a lot of pushbacks because I was using my salary to qualify. If anything was a problem. So the first commercial deal is the 30-lot mobile home park that I closed on a little bit ago. That one, I found it through a broker. This is what I figured out, is that, okay, I could call people through massive phone calls to get off-market deals, but that's just going to take too much time. Those brokers have a lot of deals in their pockets, and why don't I just go through the broker deals? And so here's what I did. I literally went through every single deal possible online, just making offers, calling, making offers. And I was making, let's say, 50 some offers per day when the amount was big. I was just full on. If you think about it like I was going full on. I didn't even look. I just kept making offers. And through these offers, I got pushback. Of course, I always do. And some say, okay, you got to make down payments, more down payments, and your rates are too low and stuff like that. And we don't do seller financing, etc. And then through this process, I found there's a range where they're most likely to do seller financing, and there's a range of down payment that they're most likely to do. And what I found at the time, from my investors' commitments, I had about $120,000 in total to take down this deal. So, okay, how do I make it work with $120,000? So I came to figure out that anything that's lower than the sales price is got to be around lower than $400,000 for them to be able to be open to seller financing. And the terms I propose, which is generally around, $75,000 down and 3% interest rate, 10-year balloon, and 30-year amortization, which are pretty good terms as far as seller financing. So, if I get any higher than that, what I came to find out is that they're not likely to do it because people can typically get bank financing in that case. and seller financing is not as attractive to them. And then as far as the down payment, they're at least looking for 10 to 20%. That's, any lower than that, you're not likely to get anything worth your while. So through this sort of filtering, through my mad offer making practice, I got my criteria. So I started to target particularly those deals around $200,000 to $300,000 with that kind of payment, down payment and rates. I started making offers, and one day I already started to hit some positive responses before this final deal that I closed on came to mind. So I got several deals that were able to go under contract with. And this deal that I closed on just had the best future outlook, best potential return for my investors, best upside, and the most positive market upside. So I decided to go with that deal. So that's how I found it, and that's how I made the decision. As far as funding, like I said, I have investors that I knew, some of our friends and family who wanted to invest in real estate, and this is what I do. And so that I introduced the deal to them, and then they were the capital providers who funded this deal, and we closed. And we are currently executing the business plan, and we're already moving tenants in, selling lots, and we're looking to refinance in a couple of years, return investor money, and
love it. Congratulations.
Yes.
No, I'm so proud of you. Yeah, that's awesome. That is amazing, actually. So the major thing with seller financing is broker commissions, right? Because people are like, oh, how do you compensate the broker? So how did you go about doing that?
Yeah, so the broker was 100% paid by the seller. So the broker doesn't really care if you do seller financing or not. It's the seller who needs to cover the broker. Say, for example, if for this deal we bought it for $235,000, and I put $75,000 down, and the broker was getting the 8% commission, and that commission is paid by the seller. The seller just needs enough down payment to cover the broker commission. Whatever, if they have a mortgage on the previous loan, they need to cover that. And then the good thing about mobile home parks is that a lot of these parks were, they're still owned by mom and pops and their original builders, and they don't have any loans on it. If they do, it's a very small amount. So they can do seller financing for you. And then at the same time, they can do, they can't afford the broker commission. So that wasn't a problem for me at all. It was just that, the broker just took the 8% from the seller, and then it was just up to the seller to worry about this commission. So
awesome. So another thing that somebody listening to this might think is, well, Jingwen, this is great, that you're able to do this first deal, but I don't know all these things about, mobile home parks. Did you get a mentor to help you with this? Did you read books? How did you know, so much about mobile home parks?
Right, absolutely. So I didn't really have a mentor, but I have a lot of mentors that are online, like podcasters like you. And there is this website that was, I think it was, it's kind of like, it's a show, it's a podcast, it's also a website who educate people on mobile home parks.
Is it
exactly.
I've had him on the show, Frank Wolf. I've had him, great guy.
That's awesome. Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I listen to Frank a lot, and I've, took different courses, and I've also just done my own research online. Now, nowadays the internet has to offer everything. I think back in the days, if you want to know something, you have to talk to someone really smart or someone who's really experienced and have connections. But nowadays, it really takes just a Google search. And a lot of times, online resources really can offer a lot. And I think what I would suggest to listeners who want to start in mobile home parks, definitely MHU is a great resource. And I think just general, you want to know about general economics. That's very important, because I think my business background from a business school really helped me a lot. At the end of the day, real estate is a business. It's not just, making deals. You have to know who your customers are. You have to know what products you're offering. For example, for mobile home parks, you're offering parking spaces for the trailers. And for a private equity firm, you're in my shoes, you're offering returns for your investors. That's the product. The money is your product. You're selling them the money pretty much. That's what they're buying you for. That's what you're paying you for. So you have to know some basic business principles to be in real estate. I think a lot of people mistaking it as, okay, I'm going to just do real estate. But, you have to have some sort of business sense. How do you, make your product appealing so that your deal does work out? Because at the end of the day, it comes down to rent. How much rent can you charge? Why can you charge that much rent? Because the market demands it, right? Then that comes to like I said, basic economics, demand and supply. You have to look at that. Exactly. So you have to know about business principles. So one principle that I follow very closely is I only do things that most people do not do and find opportunities in that thing. Because when everybody's trying to chase after one thing, for example, Bitcoin, or some other really, really buzzword, very, very hot topics, it's probably too competitive. So for me, my goal is try to escape the competition and find profit and turn around situation where most people don't see it. And that's, I think, contributed to part of the results that I'm seeing now, is to do things that most people don't do, because that's where the opportunities are. When most people think that's a chance, that's the opportunity, and everybody's chasing after that, it's probably a little bit tough for you to make a profit.
Yep. And I think multifamily, interestingly, falls in that category, actually, which is what our business is in. It's a very buzzword, as like a lot of folks.
But the thing is, with multifamily, there are a lot of subdivisions. There are a lot of subsets of it. It's not just multifamily with different markets.
It's not just apartments.
Small niche market. Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah. So, it really, whatever field that you're in, even if you want to do multifamily, as long as you find your niche, as long as you find an area that you do better than everybody else, before you think about how you compete, think about how you can be unique.
Oh, wow. That is so powerful. That's a tweetable right there. I like that. That's a good one.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I appreciate it.
Yeah, no, that's so good. So I asked Frank Wolf the same question, founder of, MHU, and also Andrew Keel. It's another guy. I don't know if you know that name. I interviewed him as well. He's into mobile home parks. And I asked him the same question. Why don't mobile home parks have that sexy appeal? Like investors are not jumping over it. It seems like you need to buy a gun, to own one of those things. And I think Frank's mentioned, and you might have a better, another answer too. But he said, I think it was Elvis Presley actually lived in a mobile home park, like back in the day, whatever. So why do you think this particular asset class doesn't really have the same, sexual, or maybe that's a bit too raunchy, but
absolutely. I think there's a stigma. On mobile home park. And so first of all, let me just clarify, you do not need to carry a gun. You do not need to buy a gun to own a home park. I own a mobile home park down in South Georgia, where there are a lot of, you think that everybody owns guns and stuff. I have not had any collection problems. I have not had any violent problems at the park. So those are lovely residents. I have lovely, best tenants I've ever had at a mobile home park. So to go back to your question, is why is it not sexy? Why is it, I got to get a huge apartment building in Manhattan, rather than mobile home park in the middle of, South Georgia? So I think the reason for that is that, when people think about trailer park, they think about low income, they think about affordable housing, they think about that. But the thing is, it is truly a diamond in the rough. It is truly something that you need to look beyond the surface. It's not talked about a lot. You need to look beyond the surface of it and then truly get down to the bone of every business, which is numbers, which is product, which is supply demand. There is a huge housing crisis going on. Now, there are a lot of people who cannot afford to live in a stick-built building or a stick-built house, or even just apartments. I mean, apartments in Atlanta, where I used to live when I went to college, was $1,800 a month, and not everybody can afford that kind of rent, and that crisis is going, higher and higher. And where would those people who are hardworking, honest people, where would they go? And that's why we're offering a product for those people who cannot afford the really, really expensive skyrocketing city rents, and then also afford a really great product for them to start a family. It's just like any other subdivision. It just had a bad rap because people always think about, crime, low income. People associate negative images. We as humans, we are very superficial sometimes. We we judge books by its cover, and that's what we do because it's very hard not to. How you present yourself. But mobile home parks, you really have to go down to see the numbers. What does the business look like? Is this product really desirable? When you look at the numbers, you can tell. I can tell you right now from running this mobile home park and the another one that I'm about to buy, the expense ratio is incredibly low. The thing is with the mobile home parks, the tenants own their own homes. That means you don't have to do the repairs and maintenance that you do need to do for an apartment building. And there's more transient, right? For an apartment building, it's really easy for them just to pack up and leave. But for mobile home parks, the tenants have their own homes. And if you make the park a pretty place to live, like me, I cut the grass and I'll make it really pretty, collect trash, and make it just like any other subdivision. There's no reason for people to live, and the rents are very, very low anyways. So that being said, the expense ratio is very, very low. My parks are around 25 to 35%, versus the apartment buildings about roughly around 50%. And it's just a lot, that being the expenses are low. And you can also raise rents because mom and pop owners typically don't raise rents for many, many, many years. And that's your chance. And you can also feel lost. There's just so many creative ways to do mobile homes, to do the mobile home parks. And one thing I got to say is that people always, not always, but a lot of people I talk to, they confuse mobile home parks with mobile homes, because they ask me, you're in mobile home parks, but aren't mobile homes, they decrease in value, right? No, they don't. The thing is, mobile home might, but we're in the parking lot business. We're in the mobile home park business. We're not just buying homes. We're actually not really own the home. So I think that's another confusion people have. So, but anyways, I don't want to go off track, but go back to the why it's not sexy. I think people just need to look at real numbers. And I can tell you from my personal experience, it's been a great ride. And the numbers, actually, among my other properties, my mobile home park, this one and the one that's upcoming, actually have produced the best profit.
Wow. I mean, this is amazing. Now you're making me think of mobile home parks, but I have to
You should.
I have to hold myself back because, I'm trying not to catch that shiny object syndrome, but yeah, this is like I don't know, the 10th time somebody's telling me how amazing mobile home parks and mobile home investing is. And,
Absolutely.
it's really fascinating to hear your story. I have so many things I wanted to touch on, but we're definitely dwelling into the quick rounds. Maybe we'll bring you, I don't know, next year, whatever, to continue this conversation.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, but we're definitely dwelling into the quick rounds. These are going to be quick questions, quick answers. You ready, ma?
Absolutely. Yes.
First question. What makes you, Jingwen, unique? What is that differentiating factor that separates you from the next guy or the next girl?
Yes. So the quick question to that is that my business is really not, I'm not an entrepreneur just to make money. That's part of it. But my goal is to make my company a tool to help people achieve true wealth so that they can one day quit their job if they don't like their job and achieve that true wealth that would help them focus more energy on other aspects of their life: family, marriage, friends, and mental and physical health. That's my true mission statement. It's not just a money-making tool. And I do make a lot of money for my investors through being unique, finding the opportunity that nobody else notices, nobody else likes. Everybody hates that opportunity, but hates that thing, but I see the opportunity and turns it around, and I never give up.
Wow. Second one, what was the last book that you read, and what was the one thing you picked out from that book?
Oh, that's a good question. I think the last book, I'm actually reading this one right now, and I love it. It's I think it's called investing out of state. I'm real estate investing out of state. I think I'm reading it because I run all my property remotely, and I really don't go down there. And I've found a lot of really, really good tips in that, how you can invest out of state, because that just, the sheer number of deals out of state is so much more than what you can do in state. So that gives you a lot of opportunities. So that's the last one I've read. I'm still reading it, and I find that very helpful for people who want to expand their deal pipeline.
Yeah, David Green, right? Bigger Pockets, right?
Correct.
Yeah, good. But yeah, last one. So you're obviously, like you said, you're running your parks remotely, you're closing deals. I can tell you got a passion for helping others to build, true wealth that, we can relate with that. You're a dwelling, you've got your husband, you're taking care of, the family, you're doing all this stuff. What do you do for fun?
Yeah, speaking of, like you mentioned, my husband, he is the greatest support I have. He is behind my back 100%. I'm so thankful for him. So what I do for fun, that's interesting. I would like to say I make deals for fun because I truly enjoy it. But apart from deals, I know I really, really, truly do enjoy that. And I volunteer at church, and I do church services, and I actually teach young, I think 13, 14-year-olds to about life, the life experience that I have with my limited age. So I volunteer, and I like to teach. I actually thought about taking on a side job to teach Chinese to small kids. So that's something that I truly enjoy. I think would spend my pastime with.
How's your Mandarin now? Is it still like really intact? Do you still speak it a lot, or are you losing it? Oh yeah, okay.
I learned some of the writing, but not speaking is fine. I still talk to my parents in China on a regular basis. So yes, correct.
Yeah, so you wouldn't want to lose that.
No. It's a good asset to have.
Jingwen, if there's somebody listening on this conversation and thinking, wow, I really like Jingwen, I want to, maybe they're in the Georgia market or anywhere else, in the country or anywhere else in the world, we've got listenership in, everywhere in the world. What is the best place folks can reach out, learn more about you, try to know you better?
Absolutely. So everybody, I think I'm available through my email, is jdunfordinvestment@gmail.com. It's just the word investment, just investment without the S at the end. A lot of people take it wrong. So it's investment, but it's actually just jdunfordinvestment@gmail.com. And then you can also reach me by my cell phone, which I can provide to Ola at the end of the show as well, if you want to list it under this podcast. So yes, the best way to reach me is through email. And then I think I'm working on my personal website. So in the near future, we'll have that up as well.
Awesome. Jingwen, thank you so much. Thank you for sharing your knowledge. Thank you for what you're trying to do, helping the world. I can feel your passion from how you talk. I can feel a connection. I love what you're doing. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. Appreciate it.